And welcome into Getting Help from Uncle Sam. We do a lot of traveling, a lot of it's on interstates, and we've noticed that there's been an awful lot of accidents. A lot of them happen because we're not paying attention. I personally think texting has been one of the biggest causes of accidents, especially on interstates. But we have to realize there's some new laws out there now that you really need to pay attention to. And I got with me today Captain Jon Archer, and you are with ALEA, Alabama Law Enforcement Agency. And John, there's some new laws out there, and we need to let our viewers know there's three primary ones that one just took effect on September 1st, did it not?
Yes, absolutely. We have three new laws. Some are existing laws that have increased their fines, but we've got three new laws that came out of the recent legislative session. First would be the Move Over Law. The Move Over Law has been on the books. Most people are aware of that. If you have an emergency vehicle on the shoulder with their lights on, you are to move over and give them space. The legislature has increased the fines for those violations, so those have gotten a little stiffer on the fines. So that was one law that passed. The seatbelt law, they updated the seatbelt law. Now all occupants of a vehicle have to have their seatbelt on. So that includes the back seat, that includes, we already included the passenger and the driver, but now it's everyone inside of a vehicle has to have on their seatbelt. And third is the Anti-Road Rage Act, which has to do with moving over on the interstate. It's against the law now to travel in the left lane on an interstate farther than 1.5 miles. Unless you're passing someone, you need to be out of the left lane, which the left lane has always been the passing lane.
That's right.
And most people know that, but this now puts it in the books that over 1.5 miles, if you hang out in that lane without passing someone, you could be subject to a fine.
And that could be even if you're coming, a lot of times if you're coming into Montgomery from Atlanta, all of a sudden it becomes 3 lanes, then maybe 4 lanes. Still, you do not need to be in that left lane.
Exactly. If it's an interstate, you do not need to be in the left lane unless you're in the act of passing. You've got 1.5 miles to be there to pass someone. If you're not able to pass them, you need to move back over.
And of course, that's the same thing on like Highway 231, which is 4-lane going down toward Dothan.
Correct.
And
you need to stay out of the left lane.
Stay out of the left lane no matter what it is.
That's a passing lane. All the other lanes are travel lanes. So, yes.
That's very interesting. That's good. And of course, we talk about road rage, and people just get they just get totally out of hand.
Right.
And that's something we want to make sure stays where it's supposed to be.
Right, absolutely.
And of course, when you're talking about seatbelts, they're very important because so many times we hear that there was an accident and the people were thrown out of the vehicle, and that's exactly what happens. I mean, you're tossed out of that vehicle, and as you're going out, no matter how you get out of that vehicle, you're going to do damage to yourself. Plus, your body's still going along at 60 miles an hour when it hits that tree with no protection.
With no protection, absolutely.
Yes.
We see it repeatedly where using seatbelts save lives. They do. They keep you in the vehicle. All that technology that the car manufacturers have put into the cars now are designed for you to stay put in the car, and it will protect you.
Yes.
But when you don't wear the seatbelt, the airbags don't do you any good. The collision avoidance doesn't work. You get thrown out of the vehicle. And then, as I tell people, once you're outside the vehicle, there's a huge mass of metal moving with you that can cause you more injuries. So
it's
for everyone in the car, and it used to be, people thought back seat didn't matter. Absolutely, you can just as well get thrown out of a vehicle from the back seat. So it's the law now. All occupants have to have a seatbelt on.
Okay. So. And another one but we didn't touch on it, but some that bothers me is if I'm driving along and an ambulance is coming along, I'm going to pull over and give it access. So many people just don't even think about it. And I know that's probably, is that a law also?
Yeah, absolutely. You're supposed to yield right away to emergency vehicles.
Pull to the side and stop.
Pull to the side, slow down.
Just continue on the way they do it.
Absolutely.
That's absolutely right. Now, if you're going down the interstate and obviously a trooper has somebody pull over to the side or there's been an accident or something, obviously in an accident everybody slows down, but a lot of times it could be a county deputy or anybody just has somebody that's stopped for a traffic violation. You have to watch out for what's coming up around you too. You're not supposed to pull over, but a lot of times there can be so much traffic. If they see there's a lot of traffic, if you just go very slow past there, you can still be liable, right?
Right. The move over law does allow. If you're unable to get out of the lane that's
Right.
nearest the emergency vehicle, slow down. So you
absolutely.
can observe everything.
Right.
And it's not only just state troopers. It's like you said,
Right,
city
the county
police officers,
deputies.
county deputies, tow trucks. Tow trucks.
Oh, my
those
gosh.
guys are out there.
Oh.
They've got their lights on.
Yes.
You need to move over. Give them space because they're out there doing a very vital service that we
Yes.
need in law
Yes.
enforcement, and we
Yes.
need to afford them that protection.
Yeah, and they need that. You're absolutely right. It's a space thing because they have to put themselves into harm's way to do a lot of the work that they do.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for what you're doing. Thank you very much. We have one of the best Alabama law enforcement agency. Gets some good kudos throughout the United States of America, and it's because of troopers like you.
Thank you, Jack.
Great, we appreciate it. And just remember this, they're the new laws. Pay attention to the laws. They're there for your safety only. And we'll be right back right after this.